What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we've got a pretty fun review. Today we're going to be talking about the Platypus, one of the more unique, more interesting, and more revolutionary products I've seen so far this year. Now, the Platypus is interesting for a lot of reasons. The first interesting part about the Platypus is this is not my gun. This is actually Tony's gun, and this is Twista, the rapper's gun right here. So we're out here today with Twista, the rapper from Chicago, who is a huge gun guy and has a pretty fucking awesome selection of guns, I might add.
That's right. I love guns, partially because I watch your channel.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we met up at GunCon.
That's right.
And hit it off, and now we're out here shooting. You're from Chicago, I'm from Iowa, not too far away.
Not too far apart.
They actually came down and shot with us last month and dropped off their guns to let me review them over the course of the month for you guys. So I really appreciate them.
Thanks, Twista!
You know it.
And I'd really appreciate if you guys would thank them and go over and subscribe to their socials and stuff. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. You guys help support the channel, and I really appreciate it. We try to make reviews for you and not the industry. So if you really appreciate that, go down to the link in the description and sign up for my Patreon. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help, so please go down there and help those kids. And I also want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Sonoran Desert Institute. The Sonoran Desert Institute is the go-to place to get education in the firearms industry. They offer a huge amount of categories, anywhere from drone technology all the way to gunsmithing. Whatever you want to do with firearms, you can get an education in it at the Sonoran Desert Institute. On top of that, they help support a lot of the 2A community, so I'd really appreciate it if you would show them some love and go check them out. Now, the Platypus is a 2011 platform, well, a double stack 1911 that you can get in a whole bunch of different configurations, colors, and you can get a lot of accessories on it right out of the factory. If you buy these, do you get custom colors, or is that just for cool people?
They have one of the most interactive builders. You can choose the color of the serrations on your safety, the inlay, literally everything.
This gun here is Twista's gun. This is a 5-inch 9mm, and it has his color scheme on it. He chose the RMRCC optics cut, and you can see there how low the optics cut on the gun actually is. That's the first thing that attracted me to it. The optics mount is one of the lowest I've ever seen. Optics mounting system, or do you get it just for one optic when you order?
So it's cut for one optic.
That's me. Yep. So the advantages to that is that it's going to be more reliable, obviously, because you're not going to have a plate interface.
Yeah, less screws.
The optics is going to be lower as well, so I do prefer that.
And it is super low. I mean, to get a delta point that low.
Look at it. It's so low that you don't even need co-witnessing iron sights. You can see on Tony's gun here, Bumblebee, these are just standard height iron sights, and they're so low that it's able to co-witness with a delta point, which is notoriously tall. And I've never actually seen a sighting set up that low before, other than the Terran Tactical, which is going to run you a lot more than this. We'll get into the price here pretty quick, but this is a very high value gun for what you get. Going on the front, we have front slide serrations that are done extremely well. For me, a guy that comes over the top of 2011, serrations on the front are really important, and these are super usable, especially today. It's like 94 degrees, and we all look like we fell out of a boat, and you can still grab on it. With a relief cut in the slide to reduce the weight, reduce the recoil, and we have a full Picatinny rail at the bottom there, and I mean a full Picatinny rail. I've never seen one that goes all the way to trigger guard before. I don't know how useful that is, but it is very cool looking regardless. We also have trigger options.
So they have two triggers, the curved and the flat.
Cool.
Whatever colors you want to do.
And do you get to pick the length?
So they only have one length right now, and you can change the poundage. They have like 4.5, 3.5, and then the competition 2. And
you can actually adjust the magazine release, same with the safety, and then the grips are going to be a little bit skinnier than a standard 2011 because, yes, it does take Glock mags. Now that's pretty interesting because that's going to save you a gang of cash.
Definitely helps that you can, you know, switch platforms. You might decide you want a double stack 1911, but at the same time too, I'm sure everybody has a Glock at home. Right. Wouldn't it be nice to come right out of that Glock and come into something like this?
Absolutely. Well, not only a Glock, but maybe a Glock carbine, you know, because there's so many carbines that take Glock mags. There's so many different ones, and then you could have 5, 6, 7 guns and have just one magazine pattern. I have a giant carton of magazines in the back, and I have to find magazines all the time, so if I had just one mag, it would simplify things. It would simplify things. This is a standard staccato magazine. This is actually a tuned one from Atlas, which is what I normally use for competition. These are excellent magazines, don't get me wrong, but they can go anywhere from $80 to $150 depending on where you're buying them from. 2011 mags are very expensive. So obviously a $20 Glock magazine is very appealing because everybody has these already, and it's pretty awesome to be able to run them not only in a 2011, but run them reliably. So it's cool you can put the Glock mags in the mag well with the regular factory Glock base plate. So you can just get the cheapest fucking mags ever and just run them like a dream. Now the nice thing is, even with this mag well, it looks like it takes stock Glock mags without a base plate, which is nice, because sometimes if you don't have a base plate, mag wells won't work. Not only run them reliably, but now we have lockback as well, and for the most part they slide in and out of the gun, which is really nice. You can save a lot on your magazines while you're saving a lot on your firearm. So because it uses the Glock mags, it actually has a skinnier profile on the grip than a standard 2011. If you want to check out a Staccato, I actually have right here, Staccato P, the Staccato is definitely girthier than the Platypus. Now usually that's not good, but in this case it's pretty good because it allows smaller stature shooters, regular sized people to get on this gun and use it well. One of the biggest complaints of a 2011, and the reason why I like it so much, is the grips are a little bit bigger and sometimes can be too big for standard people like my wife. She's 5'2", and not only does it help with the grip, but then if you can also get your own grip safety and trigger options, you can really zero in just for your personal hand size.
I like the grip. I especially like the grip safety too. Like, there's a lot of guns that I'm not too favorable of the grip safety, but this one is pretty cool.
And shooting only left-handed today, I can say that it never gave me any issues. So
we made him a lefty today.
Yeah,
fellow lefty.
And the memory pad's huge. That's one of the big contributors to that, is that you're never going to be able to grip the gun without pushing it down because it sticks up. A lot of people like to make it low pro because they think it makes it more comfortable, but then it makes it more unreliable. And that's not what we want. Now you can get different weights and different barrel lengths and slide lengths. You can go with a full-size 5-inch if you want to, or you can go with a 4.25 compact, which is very freaking cool. And on top of that, all the frames come out at different weights. You can either get a 28-ounce overall gun, or you can go all the way up to a 32 or even a little higher, depending on what weight you want. Obviously lighter for carry and duty use, and heavier for competition use to reduce that recoil, so you get the option either way. And with a lot of guns, especially like the Staccato or something like that, you're not going to get any of those options out of the factory, and you are going to have to pay a higher price point. This coming in around $1,400, and the Staccato coming in around $2,000. Now this is a standard base 2011, and if you think $2,000 is a lot, if you actually get Atlas Gunworks like this, you can end up paying $4,000, $5,000, or even $6,000. So for the $1,400 price point, this is an unbelievable deal. Now I know in the comment section below, you guys are going to say $1,400 is too much money for a gun. I completely understand that. You can buy a Canic for $400. You can defend yourself very well. But if you're looking for premium offerings, something like a 2011 with a single action trigger that's reliable and a double stack, you are generally going to pay a lot to get into this game. So $1,400 is very reasonable by comparison to its peer group. That's extremely good in the 2011 world, especially for a gun that takes Glock mags, because now you don't have to go out and buy $150 mags. Now you can just put $20 Glock mags through it, and you probably already own them if you're going to buy one of these. Right. An optics setup on a Staccato will cost you $2,500. So if you just consider the fact that this is still $1,400, you pay an extra $100 for an optics cut on the Platypus, and you get a pinpoint optics cut. If you get the dedicated optics cut for your gun, not only can you get it lower, but it's more reliable overall. Whereas you pay an extra almost $500 to get an optics system from Staccato that is, don't get me wrong, it's adjustable. You can use a lot of different optics, but for the most part, people just use ARM or Delta Point anyway. And not only do you have the failure point of the plates, but then again, you're gonna have to pay 5 times the cost. Trigger adjustments are also nice because you can go with a 4 or 5 pound duty trigger if you want to, and then you can go with a 3 pound or 3.5 pound competition trigger if you want. And again, with the Staccato P, although I love this gun, that is just not an option. You are gonna have to do that yourself after you purchase it. So very cool as far as the Platypus goes. Now, if you wanna see a size and weight comparison just between these two, obviously we have a full 5-inch barrel here and a 4.4 here, but again, commander length is offered. This gun is still going to be lighter weight than this. This comes in around 34, 36 ounces because it does have a steel frame, whereas this has an aircraft grade aluminum frame, but again, you can get heavier ones of this as well. It's just trying to show you the modularity of the Stealth Arms versus the Staccato and some of the price and weight savings you can get as well. Now, as far as reliability goes on the Stealth Arms Platypus, we had pretty excellent reliability.
That gun's got about 5,000 rounds through it. No malfunctions yet, so it runs.
What ammo were you running?
Anything you can imagine.
Right,
yeah, carry ammo, my reloads, factory ammo, everything.
We had 2 of these out here to try, which is always nice to make sure you're not getting like a fluke or anything like that. And neither one of these pistols had any reliability issues whatsoever, which I was pretty impressed with because I actually shot 200-300 rounds through this guy here, just left hand only. Oh yeah. So if I had any limp wristing issues or anything, we would have noticed it, which we did not. We shot it with some lower powered competition ammo. We shot it with Blazer Brass 115 grain. Thanks Manning & Sons for that. And we also shot it with Federal, and we did also shoot it with some defensive 124 ammo. All of it ran great. So that's pretty impressive, again, from a double stack 1911 standpoint, especially coming from a company like Stealth Arms, which I hadn't really heard of until they made this gun. Now, one of the interesting things you're going to get that's going to be different on this is going to be the old standard bushing barrel. Now, I think they might offer bull barrels in the future. Maybe they do now, but you will have to have the bushing barrel on the Platypus, and really that just makes it a little bit different takedown and maybe a little bit less weight up front, maybe a little better balance, but a little bit worse recoil impulse. So that's something that you're going to have to deal with. If you don't like the bushing barrel, and if you prefer the staccato version, you're going to have to go with that. That being said, the recoil impulse on the gun is a little bit more stout than some of the other guns, like for example my Athena, and the reason for that is because you're looking at a 28-ounce gun versus like a 38-ounce gun. So it's better for carry, better for duty, but as far as strings of fire, something like the Athena is going to be just a little bit quicker in my personal opinion. Now, as far as accuracy goes on the gun, we have had quite a few rounds through it again, like I said, and the accuracy has been pretty exceptional. Able to hit at 50, 75, and 100 yards at will. Really accurate. The trigger is excellent and the sighting setup is excellent, and if you have that, that always helps out. If you're able to put a dot on a gun and you're able to superimpose the target, it just makes long range shooting easier. And then when you're able to have a very crisp light trigger that has a forced reset, you're able to shoot to the level that you could. And I really like 2011 platforms for that, because it just has a straight to the rear trigger. It's very lightweight and it's very easy to pull the trigger to the rear without disrupting the sight picture. So you can see here, watch this trigger. Very, very impressive. You're like a three pound trigger, something like that. And then on top of that, it has a very good reset. Sometimes when you have guns that have a light trigger pull, you have kind of a shitty reset, but it does force your finger out, and you can see the reset distance is very, very small, allowing you to get that next shot very quickly. And I like that. I love 2011s for that. And a lot of times when you go into the cheaper 1911s or double stack 1911s, you will have kind of a shittier trigger, whereas this has a same or similar trigger to a Staccato or an Atlas Gunworks, and again, you're getting it for like under $1,500. Now, one of the issues we did see with the ergonomics on the gun is going to be due to the Glock magazines. So first off, let's go through the Glock magazines and I'll show you which ones fit. Obviously, the extended ones fit and they work very well. This is a 22 rounder, and then we have some just regular base plate ones from OEM ones from Glock. They work well. Terran Tactical obviously fits in there and works well. I know a lot of competition guys are going to want to know this, so I'm just going to do this for you quick. And then we have a standard Glock magazine in here. Now, normally if you had a big magwell like this would not be acceptable, because you're just not going to be able to get it and strip it if it gets stuck. Glock mags are polymer, and they do get stuck in magazine wells more often than something like this stainless steel one does. That being said, the Platypus actually has this large mag well, but it is blended well, and it has these two notches here. So even if it gets stuck, you can grab that and pull it out with your fingers. And magazines getting stuck sucks. It kind of reduces your reload speed a little bit, but it only happened once out of 10 times, and if you can strip it, it's not a big deal. .366.
You are so fast.
Well, it'd been faster if it came out of the gun when I wanted it to, but Glock mags, you know, they're good for being cheap and awesome, but they are polymer coated, so they like to stick. 274. It's a lot quicker when it comes out. That's what she said. Now the texture on the gun is weird. It's not as aggressive as something like my Athena, or even something like my Dark Side Precision lower on my Staccato here, but it is more than enough to hold on to the gun, and it also doesn't rip up your hands like maybe some of my guns do, and it allowed my wife to shoot this a little more comfortably. She's not the biggest fan of a huge amount of texture like I am. My guns can literally never be aggressive enough. If you had like 60 grit sandpaper on the thing, I still would be unimpressed. I gotta have it like cut my hand to really enjoy it. But this here is a very good texture overall, and it looks pretty decent as well. It's slicked up enough to where you could easily carry this all day and it wouldn't rub on your hand at all, because it's kind of inverted instead of exverted, I guess. I don't really know the word, but if you're looking at the texture on my Athena, you can see that it comes off the grip there, and it does give you some texture that will rub your stomach. Whereas on this, it has dimples in the slide, so when you carry it like appendix or you carry it at 3 o'clock, it's not gonna rub on your tummy quite as much. And I do like that as well, because if you get the lightweight Commander version, you are gonna wanna probably carry this, and I might have to get one of those eventually, because I think that would make for a killer competition slash carry gun. Like, this is one of those guns where, as long as the competition gun's reliable, you can use it for home defense with no problem. Yeah. I mean, you got a light, you got an optic, you have, you know, whatever magazine capacity you want.
Oh yeah.
You know? So overall, I think that the Platypus really kills it, and I think it's gonna be one of those things that come on the market, and it's gonna force some companies to maybe reduce some of the costs that they ask for their guns, simply because if you can put together a double stack 1911 that's reliable, accurate, fast, a la carte from the website, it takes optics mounts, it's extremely low optics mounts like this, I have a hard time believing a lot of people aren't gonna get into this instead of something that's $2,000 or $25,000 or even $4,000. If you see no difference in performance whatsoever, you can change all the colors and you can still get all the features that you want, and you don't have to get a second mortgage, well then I see no reason why not to go with something like this. If you compare this to my Staccato, I mean, let's be honest, I'm a huge Staccato fan. I love Staccatos, they've proven themselves over the years. This is one of my defensive guns right here. As a matter of fact, this stands in for my home defense gun all the time, which shows you how much I love this gun. That being said, $2,500 over here, base price of $1,500 over here, and this takes much cheaper magazines, and you get a lot more from the factory out of this. Like with something like this, you're gonna have to pick this up and do everything that you want to do to it, whereas something like this, you can get it all right away just the way you like it. And man, is that a huge selling point for me, and I gotta say, I was extremely impressed with the Platypus. I really, when I saw this, I thought it was a bit of a gimmick, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, Glock mag 1911, been done before, but done again. But I would say that this is the first time I've ever seen it where it's done correctly. I know we reviewed Twista's guns in this video, and if you like that, please like and subscribe, but I plan on getting a different version. I think my wife is actually gonna get this in the future, so you'll probably see more Platypuses on the channel. If you wanna see other dedicated versus videos, if you want me to do it, put it on the clock against the Staccato, or maybe my Atlas Athena, and that way you guys get to see the differences, the minute differences in speed and accuracy, I can do that as well. So let me know in the comment section what you think. Let me know if you like this gun and you wanna see more of it. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. And you said there's a new grip, so this is the old guy. There's a lot of shit going on behind me, I can see.